1942. Mr. Speaker, 1942 was the last time that the United States of America declared war. Since that time, the United States has gone through just about 17 different military actions, including the Bush of Vietnam, the city streets of Fallujah, including the paratroopers of Panama. I would have a hard time saying to those soldiers, those men and women who served this red, white, and blue flag, that any of those military interventions weren't a war. But because, Mr. Speaker, based off of the Constitution says very clearly that Congress shall declare war. And the Office of Budget and Management, the OMB, says that in that period of time, since 1942 till today, in 2026, the United States of America has spent close to $30 to $35 trillion on these military interventions. That's a number that can't even be comprehended. We've got money for war, but we don't have money for the poor. We don't have money for the bridges. We don't have money for anything other than the profits of these individuals who have used their patsies in the United States Congress to pass legislation such as the authorization of use of military force, to allow through these different little red tape, it's legal, but it is unconstitutional. And Mr. Speaker, as we look out at this country, where all of us at one level or another, whether we come from it from different perspectives is irrelevant, we all recognize that this country is being led by people who have been corrupted. The United States Congress isn't doing its job. And you might think, oh, it's because the Republicans haven't done their job, or oh, it's because the Democrats haven't done their job. But I am of the belief that it is simply because we are no longer following the Constitution that the founding people of this country wrote to make the republic which has lasted longer than any other in this world. And Mr. Speaker, I think if we followed Article 1 of the Constitution, the 8th section, 11th clause, which outlines very clearly that the United States Congress is the legislative body with the power to declare war, then not only would we be doing right by the soldiers, the men and women who have signed up to serve this flag, to serve us and every one of our ability to live as freely and happily as we do here in this country, but we are doing right by the world. It is not the peaceniks of the Vietnam protest era who are in support of this legislation. It is the soldiers who have fought in these military interventions, who have come to this legislature and legislatures across the country to beg them, as the body closest to the people. Every one of us here represents 3,500 people in this state. We are the closest to the citizenry of this country. And the citizenry is looking just as we are at a United States Congress which refuses to follow its constitutional obligations and is saying to us, as people unbought, unsold, please stand up and protest as best you can by protecting the National Guard here in this state from being activated by the federal government, which is corrupted, which has shirked its constitutional ability without an activation of war. That is the power that we have here in this body. No, we cannot make the United States Congress do its job. No, we cannot make it so that this country and the gunk that is on the machine is no longer and that it runs efficiently. But what we can do is use the power that we have here over our National Guard and where it is activated to ensure that no soldier in that Guard goes to a foreign land without the United States Congress following its constitutional obligation and declaring war. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to overturn this committee recommendation because none of us should be voting against a piece of legislation or something like this because of fear of a corrupt federal government coming back in retaliation. I am not afraid of losing peas. I am not afraid of losing the federal dollars because I care most as a legislator about the spirit and life of the soldiers who are in the National Guard. And their life is not worth retaliation and fear of retaliation from the federal government. What I would say to them and those of us who are afraid of losing these federal dollars is we should stand united, pass this piece of legislation, and say to the federal government, come get us. Because this, Mr. Speaker, is something where none of us, and I've lost my book here, but Mr. Speaker, it isn't radical to say to the United States Congress that we should follow the words written in the founding documents of this country. And Mr. Speaker, that is exactly what they should do. I am asking here today for you, the membership of this body, to vote to overturn the committee recommendation on this piece of legislation, and I am asking the federal Congress of these United States of America to follow the words that it wrote on paper.
The House will be in order, and does the member yield for a question?
Anytime, always.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative, for taking my question. I was curious if you were aware of any states that had failed to produce a fiscal note with Defend the Guard legislation.
I am not, but I am aware of all of the states that have brought forward their generals and other military officials to try and inject fear from passing this legislation.
Could I ask one follow-up?
Does the member yield for another question? Let's not make
As
this
much
a
as it
habit
upsets the Speaker, I do.
Would you believe that Kansas did not produce a fiscal note with their Defend the Guard legislation?
I would have to believe that based on what you said.
Thank you.
Representative Cybers recognized to speak for the committee.